Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Professor Ming's Strategic Insights. For the past few weeks, we've been talking about the breaking news of the downfall of General Zhang Youxia, a three-star general and vice chairman of the CMC, PLA's Central Military Commission. And 3 months prior to that, we've been discussing the downfall of General He Weidong, another vice chairman of the CMC, Central Military Commission. So in a matter of 4 months, we have witnessed the downfall of 2 three-star generals and also the vice chairman of the CMC. This is quite big compared to any other countries. So this is important. So look back in the military history of the Communist China, we have witnessed altogether 8 vice chairpersons of the CMC have met unusual destination in their political life. In light of what has been happening recently, a quick review of the related matter is in order. The first vice chairman I want to mention is Marshal Peng Dehuai. This name may not mean much to you, especially to a foreign audience, but let's go back to 1950s actually. There was the Korean War, and it was the first time the American troops fought the Communist Chinese troops. And Marshal Peng Dehuai was the commander of the Communist Chinese troops at the time. The two countries fought for more than 3 years and ended up in a stalemate and signed a truce treaty. And Korea has been divided into 2. And the American soldiers, as far as I know, was very impressed by what the Chinese Communist troops can do at the time. And it was commended by Marshal Peng Dehuai. So he was famous in China, and in Chinese, especially in the military circle. By 1954, China reestablished their so-called military commission or Central Military Commission, with Mao Zedong being the chairman, of course. And Peng Dehuai was the de facto acting vice chairperson of the CMC. So he was a strong supporter for Mao Zedong at the time. But their good relations broke up in 1959, when Mao Zedong launched the so-called the Great Leap Forward in 1958, and leading to millions of people starving to death. And Peng Dehuai wrote a personal letter to Mao Zedong, expressed some of his personal thoughts about the movement. And Mao was furious. He considered Peng Dehuai a traitor, betrayed his policy of Great Leap Forward, and he alienated Peng Dehuai since. When Cultural Revolution broke up in 1966, Peng Dehuai was arrested by Mao Zedong's Red Guards and criticized in public and humiliated and even put behind bars and tortured all the time. And Peng Dehuai was reported to be beaten up and broke 2 of his ribs. So that's kind of unthinkable or unimaginable for a marshal, for a well-known marshal in China. And Peng Dehuai was later accused of committing crimes like anti-party, anti-socialism, anti-Mao Zedong thought, and was trying to usurp the party, usurp the military, and usurp the state, and high treason. So he died in 1974 after being tortured for so many years. And that's the first general, or the first vice chairman of the CMC. The second vice chairperson I want to talk about is Marshal He Long. He Long was one of the 10 marshals promoted by Mao Zedong in 1954-55. But his good fortune didn't last too long because Mao has this kind of suspicion. He's always worrying about a mutiny or a coup d'etat launched by these marshals or by these top soldiers. So he's been trying everything to eliminate them, and in a good way or sometimes in a bad manner. And by 1958, Mao Zedong purged Marshal Liu Bocheng, and 59, Peng Dehuai, as we mentioned. And after 1966, the outbreak of the Cultural Revolution, Mao Zedong fabricated an excuse or fabricated a charge against Marshal He Long, and put him behind bars. And Marshal He Long was tortured by the Red Guards, and anyway, he died in the Beijing's 301 hospital. Was designed for the high cadres or the high generals. And rumor has it that He Long died of an unusual death. He Long had diabetes, and his death was caused by injection of a high dosage of glucose. We're not sure about the authenticity of this information, but anyway, that's what's been circulated. And later on, He Long was accused of again a traitor and tried to usurp the military, usurp the political power, and also a schemer against the party. So that was Marshal He Long, and the second vice chairman of the CMC. The third one is the very famous Marshal Lin Biao. Lin Biao had been a staunch supporter for Mao Zedong ever since 1920s or 1930s. During the civil war against nationalist government, Lin Biao was probably the strongest or the most powerful soldier for Mao Zedong. He fought all the way from Manchuria to Hainan Island. So he actually seized half of China from nationalist government for Mao Zedong. So he's been much relied upon by Mao Zedong. And after the establishment of the PRC, and Lin Biao has been a staunch supporter for Mao Zedong in critical times. But bad things happened during the Cultural Revolution. Lin Biao was, anyway, let me make the story short. Lin Biao had a different idea of Cultural Revolution. Mao Zedong wanted to continue the Cultural Revolution as long as possible, but Lin Biao said perhaps we should stop somewhere and turn our attention to economic buildup and economic reconstruction and things like that. And that it is said to irritate Mao Zedong. But anyway, Mao Zedong always suspected Lin Biao, or even feel jealous about Lin Biao of his merit and his achievement. Although Mao Zedong designated Lin Biao as his successor and wrote it up in the constitution of the PRC, which is kind of absurd. But anyway, they did it. But somehow their differences became so great that they seemed to be intolerable of each other. And Mao even traveled around and to tell the subordinates that Lin Biao is going to betray him, and calling people's attention to the matter. And Lin Biao heard about the news and he fled, according to the official version of the story. And Lin Biao boarded a plane and tried to flee to the Soviet Union and somehow crashed in Mongolia, in Outer Mongolia. And that's the end of the Lin Biao story. And later on, Lin Biao was branded as, again, a bourgeois politician, a schemer, a person with a two-faced person, a traitor, and committed high treason, and is plotting a counter-revolutionary action of assassinating Mao Zedong and things like that. So that's Lin Biao. But we know that some of the charges were fabricated anyway. So Lin Biao was not happy about Mao Zedong, and they may have differences, but we don't think that he will go as far as that. Although Lin Biao's subordinates or his followers may have that kind of idea, but probably not Lin Biao himself. But anyway, that's a fate for Lin Biao, the third vice chairman of the CMC. The fourth one is Zhao Ziyang. Upon hearing this name, you may be surprised. You may remember him as the premier of the PRC of the government and as the Secretary General of the party, but you may not know that he has served as the vice chairperson of the CMC. Yes, that's correct. By 1987, Zhao Ziyang was elected as the vice chairman of the CMC. Yes, you hear me right. By 1987, upon the 13th Party Congress, Zhao Ziyang was elected as the Secretary General of the party and also concurrently the Vice Chairperson of the CMC. next only to Deng Xiaoping. Yes, Deng Xiaoping. And they were quite good for a few years, that's true. But by 1989, when a riot happened in Tiananmen, and thousands of students and citizens gathered in the Tiananmen Square, and there disputes between Deng Xiaoping and Zhao Ziyang arose. Deng Xiaoping was trying to play the hard line. He meant to crack down the riot through military force. But Zhao advocated a peaceful and more diplomatic approach. So there's a big difference. But anyway, Deng Xiaoping overruled Zhao Ziyang's idea and branded Zhao Ziyang as a traitor again. So Zhao Ziyang was purged and put under house arrest for the next 16 years until he died in the year 2005. The fifth and the sixth are General Guo Boxiong and Xu Caihou. These two generals have been in the CMC for quite some time, but Guo Boxiong was later promoted to the position of vice chairperson of the CMC in the year 2002, and Xu Caihou were promoted to the position in 2004. And they were both promoted by Jiang Zemin. Jiang Zemin retired at the time. But in order to control the CMC behind the scene by Jiang Zemin, and Jiang Zemin used these two as his agents in the CMC in order to usurp the real power in the PLA. Both General Guo and General Xu were so corrupt, and they've been in charge of the CMC for more than 10 years. Or they've been receiving bribes of tens of hundreds of soldiers or even generals. So they were really corrupt. But anyway, they were both purged. Xu Caihou was purged in 2014, and Guo Boxiong was purged in 2015. And both were purged after they've been retired for 1 or 2 years. So these are the fifth and the sixth. And the seventh is General He Long, whom we discussed some time ago. And the last one was General Zhang Youxia, we've been talking about for the past few weeks. And the question remained here now is who purged these two? Was it really Xi Jinping who purged these two generals and these two vice chairmen? Or was it Zhang Youxia who purged He Long? And Xi Jinping purged Zhang Youxia? That remains to be seen, and that's kind of confusing at the time. But anyway, the point we're trying to make in this episode is that the vice chairperson is a very dangerous position for anybody to occupy. These 8 generals or marshals or the 3-star generals serve very good examples for us. And the reason for that is there's a basic rule in Chinese Communist Party. They've been saying that it is the party that commands the guns instead of the other way around. But in an environment of tense political struggles, as tense as in Beijing, that it's very difficult for anybody who occupies such high position to avoid being involved in this kind of competition or cutthroat political struggle. So anyway, the chairperson has always been the Secretary General of the party, and he's afraid of mutiny or coup d'etat. And the person who's most likely to take him out or to betray him would be the number 2 guy in the military, which is the vice chairman or vice chairperson of the CMC. That's why we said that this vice chairman is the most dangerous position in the PLA, in the People's Liberation Army. Anyway, that's not a question of people. It's a question of the system. So like I said, we are not saying that democracy is a perfect system, but democracy is still a system based on rules and based on principles, and it's easier, or at least it's predictable, and you know how things work out. But in a totalitarian regime, you never know what kind of fate you're gonna meet tomorrow. And well, I hope that things will change for the better sometime in the future. But with this kind of system persisting, along the way, I think it's kind of difficult. But anyway, there's a lot more to come in the future. So I think that's all I want to share with you today. I hope you like it. And please do remember to subscribe and share it with your friends and click the icon bell. And that's all for today. I'll see you next time.